This has fan spin already. Whoa. L3700 is a filter. Let's see if that filter is blown. It should be. I bet the filter is fine because this is a Mac. Smoking while you turn on the SSD is probably permitted. Let's turn on the Paul Daniels multimeter software. 0.4 fucking ohms. You can literally destroy the SSD on the MacBook. And, like, I mean, I don't... How do you... Like, what the fuck is the point of having a filter in place of the SSD if this is what it's rated for? Like, seriously. Well, look at this. Look at that shit. This smoked in front of you as it was turned on. There's no excuse for this. This is disgusting. There's no point in having a filter there. Why bother? Fucking Mac, man. I swear. Let's start this. Get going. So, This has fan spin already. Whoa. Oh, okay, there's smoke coming out from under the SSD when you turn it on. That's interesting. Oh, that is some very obvious smoke. Ow. Okay. Yeah, you're... Oh, Jesus. Yeah, this guy's data's gone. This... Yeah, you're fucked. Alright, so... Oh, dude. Yeah, I hope you didn't have any data that mattered. Ouch. This thing's gone. This is gonna need a new SSD port. I'm gonna guess your complaint is smelling of smoke in question mark folder. Just look this up. I bet $50 the complaint here is question mark folder. What was up with no notices? I don't know what no notices means. Looks like moisture all over. Yes. Live streaming notifications. Oh yeah, I'm on the downswing right now. I'm not sure if you guys know how YouTube works, but for certain periods of time, it will recommend even 3-year-old videos that nobody wanted to watch. It'll show up in their recommended feed. I know that people weren't choosing to see it, that it showed up in their feed, because in YouTube Analytics, it'll actually show you how somebody found the video. And you can see that it was from recommended and YouTube suggesting it. And then after that happens and you get 500,000 to 1 million views a day for a while, then it does the opposite, where... it doesn't recommend your video to anybody, notifications drop off, and right at the time that happens, I'll take a look at the channel and I'll see that there's, you know, like 10% the views that it was getting before. It's common, and it's one of the reasons that nobody should ever base their business on YouTube, because it's managed by an AI, and nobody actually knows how the AI even works. So there's nobody at YouTube that can even explain to you when you're doing things right or wrong, what it is you did that was right or wrong. So if you're basing your living off of this platform, that's just absolutely fucking crazy. I just know. At least here, I can ask my customers if business is going bad. You're like, what did I fuck up? You know, turnaround time bad, with, you know, receptionist rude. You know, what's good? But nothing like that with YouTube, so... thing that really gets me is I can't have merchandise below my videos. So you know those mugs, the F Linus mugs that Eli has below every video? I can't have that. It actually took Google a week to get back to me and figure out that my channel, they're only allowing certain channels to do it, and they won't tell you what the criteria is. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? Really now? Because, you know, a while back on the channel, I posted what YouTube's share... I mean, what my share was of my total YouTube earnings from the beginning to the present. So what they're saying is that their share of that is well over 6 figures, right? So their share of what I've made over the past 7 or 8 years on YouTube. And they're saying that we are not... Yeah, your channel's not one of the ones where you can put a fucking mug under there. And they can't tell me why. That's the thing, because at least if they said why, like, you know, your content's a little too risque, you know, you've cursed too much, you use copyrighted music and something. If they could just tell you what it was, you know, at least then we could have a conversation, but they can't do that. You know, that you speak to a person, but the person, if you ever do finally get to a person, which is almost impossible with Google, they won't tell you why. So it's just like, I would never base a business on this platform. That's why I tell all of you, you know, if you click the video on YouTube, I get paid more money than if you do on Vimeo. Because in Vimeo, I pay for you to watch my stuff. Whereas on YouTube, they pay me when you watch my stuff. And I would still prefer that you use a platform where I have to pay than where they pay me. Because it is a pile of cunts. Anyway. But the only thing is I can't figure out how to integrate chat from Vimeo chat into here. Or else I would probably do the live streams just exclusive Vimeo. But I can't figure out how to get chat to show up in another app. And Vimeo has this dumb thing where you have to always manually enable the chat each time. Alright, so we got to get rid of this SSD connector, because this is garbage. I'm going to see if I can just dump it off the board. I'm going to try and bulldoze it. But it's anchored in on the side, so that's going to be hard. Make F. Eli mugs. I kind of like my real estate mug. I'm sticking with that for a while. Alright, here we go. Pry this shit off of here. This is an obnoxious soldering tip, if you guys couldn't notice, by the way. Hey, take a look at this. Look. That is obnoxious. This is too much tip for you to handle. I gotta figure out how to reach in there under the microscope, but I don't think I can do it. Yeah, I gotta be outside the microscope to reach in there. But now I got this cool zoom lens up there for all you love my zoom lens. So yeah, check that out. That's my overhead camera. Hope when I move I can get something a little bit more sturdy to mount it to. Trying to figure out what the most efficient way to knock this thing off the board is. You know what? Check this out. Get off of the board, you piece of shit. Damn, that was stuck on there. Typical late night grind, says Pedro Serrano. Yep. Pedro's got a work ethic. He knows what it's like. He knows what it is. How's your corporate takeover going over there, my friend? Pedro, you can laugh. I'm on my about 5th week now of trying to learn Wing Chun. Oh man, you would laugh if you saw how bad I sucked. You would laugh. So this guy that used to work here was a world champion in martial arts. He took over a store that used to be owned by someone who I find to be a scumbag, and now he doesn't own it anymore. I guess being a scumbag isn't a great way to run a sustainable business. So I wish him the best of luck with that. Yo, Pedro, I suck. Every time I can't even pivot without hopping. The instructor's always telling me stop hopping when you pivot, when you turn, stop hopping, stop hopping, stop hopping. You must say it at least like 200 times a session. I'm so slow. I'm so slow that when he was doing the stab in slow motion, he still stabbed me. Oh man. Getting stabbed, like when the guy is actually doing this and you still can't block it. That's pathetic. But that was me today. I had such a shit gym day. Some days you have better gym days, and some days you have shittier gym days. I had to do the roll of shame today as well. I was trying to bench 225 for 8 again, because I finally got past my plateau of 7 reps of that. At the plateau of 3 years, the day before my birthday, and today I went to do 6. I did 6.5, and then 6.2 more like it, and it just came right back down. Yeah. So this is a really nice soldering tip, by the way, for doing this. This is the one I used to use for graphics chips. I used to use these for the graphics chips before I realized that doing graphics chips was a miserable way to try to make any money. Alright, so There we go. Now this is actually the easy part. The hard part is going to be the holes. Because just keep in mind the pins are on the side, the anchor pins are through-hole soldered. Like that stuff. Move out of New York and get a concealed weapon permit. Flexibility for defense is not needed. If you're within 21 feet of my instructor and you have a gun, he's going to kill you. With his Sharpie. This dude is... It's got to the point where at my gym, virtually nobody is willing to... Not even like... They don't even want to train with him. It's very... I don't mean like spar. They don't even want to... They don't want to look like an idiot, so they just don't talk to him. And it seems like they don't like him, which is really sad. I feel bad for him in that regard. Because there are all these dudes... I go to this bodybuilding gym, and I'm the smallest person there, because I'm not a bodybuilder. You know, I'm a pipsqueak. And... Like there's, I don't care if I look like an idiot. Like if I'm the only person there that cannot work with 3 plates on a bench press, you know, that's fine with me. But there's a lot of people there that really don't like being shown up, and they don't want to have a guy that's 5'5" destroy them when they're benching, you know, 500 or 600 pounds. They're just. But yeah, there's several other people there that also do teach martial arts, and he always winds up just destroying them and making them look very easily handleable. And I don't mind it, you know. I get my ass kicked. I get my ass handed to me, you know, every other day, and it's part of learning. You know, that's the way I teach board repair. So what do you think here? And then I slowly walk them through the thought process, try to figure out what their thought process is. I try to change it. I have them sit in the seat. You know, you got to be willing to look like a moron in the beginning to be able to learn anything. It's very important to be willing to look like an idiot when you're learning something new for the first time. One of my first mentors, this is in the studio business, not here, said, "Lois, everything I learned is because I'm not afraid to tell people what an idiot I am." All right, this really doesn't want to get sucked up into my tip. Let's try again. See what the other side of the board looks like. Actually, it doesn't look like that. Does that go through the other side? It does. I just can't see it because it's covered by that stupid adhesive rubbish. Yeah, that's what it is. This bullshit. Right, peel that shit off the board. Get the fuck out of here. If I get under its adhesive, it'll be a lot easier to remove. There we go. Yeah, so I may have gotten all the solder out, but I can't see it because it's covered by this bullshit. Okay, this is the side that is still stuck. You know, it's funny. I used to really think surface mount was impossible and through-hole was easy, but now I can't stand doing through-hole work. Like, just this annoying shit of having to clear the holes, it's so fucking aggravating. And I remember having the solder sucker and the solder sucker getting jammed, and I don't have my HAKKO 808 anymore. I imagine that would come in handy here. But, yo, this shit is so annoying. I forgot how much this shit sucked. Okay. Let's make sure that I get leaded solder throughout that entire hole. I'm just going to give it some nice time to go all the way through. Oh yeah, solder suckers are useless. I mean, if you're talking about a HAKKO 808, I definitely prefer that for through-hole. But if you're talking about that little piece of shit from Radio Shack that you just hit a button and it's supposed to snap up, I've never had that work ever in my life. That thing is shit. Those things are fucking garbage. You know how many pads you're gonna rip on an SSL J9000 if you try to change the bus switches with that? Like that shit is useless. All right. Donor is going to be super pesky. Yeah, I don't have a replacement port for this because this never needs to be replaced. And now for the really fun part. I have to dig that out of there. This is going to be so fucking annoying, I can tell. Okay. No, I can watch the chat. I'm just not explaining what I'm doing as I'm doing and saying this is this circuit and that circuit and blah 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 blah. It's just fixing. But I can read the chat. You see, I was wiggling the knife in there because I don't want the solder to dry inside the hole. I don't want to give it a chance to dry in there. Rob Brown is here. Everybody, give a warm welcome to Rob Brown, and you should check out his YouTube channel and subscribe. He can actually fix iPhones. I just replaced TriStar and then give up. Rob Brown's channel can be found at youtube.com/Rob Shill. It's time for shilling. Where can people find Rob Brown? youtube.com/ Rob, this is your cue. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is use a little bit of hot air, and I'm going to stick a broken piece of wick inside of there to suck up that little thing that's still stuck. Because you may see that there's still a little piece of solder stuck in the hole. So some flux. Watch this. Rob Brown is one of the very few people on YouTube that's going to be able to give you a nice, beautiful microscope camera image. He got the last of the tariff limited edition scopes. I hope to be able to sell more of those if our favorite tariff generator stops the tariff shit. Have you ever investigated getting a line of credit? Yeah, I'm done. I gave up on that. I just gave up on that. I put a lot of wasted time and effort into that. And what I noticed is that the time and effort I'm putting into applying for loans that I can't get, I could spend just fixing boards until 2 in the morning and using that to get the money to fund the new place. Because I was thinking about that. Like, somebody was saying, why don't you move the air conditioner? And I was saying, well, I have a budget shortfall of about $40,000 to $50,000 if I want to do the place the shitty getaway, and about $100,000 to $150,000 if I want to do the place decently. So what I'm going to do is, instead of think about the budget shortfall or waste time on shit loans like that I'm just going to get denied for whatever reason, I could just stay at work until 4 in the morning every day from now until the end of the month, because that seems much more productive. I'm not even being sarcastic. Like, if there's anything I've learned from investing in the stock market for several years, the best thing to invest in is yourself. And when it comes to where you put your time in, when it comes to loans or anything else, the best place to put time in is into building your own, what you're building, whether it's your brand, your business, your teaching, your YouTube channel. Like, I'm not bending the knee for loan officers that don't give me shit anymore. It's just a fucking waste of my time. So fuck banks. It's just a complete and utter waste. For other people, who can go for it. But for me, I'm just not wasting time on it. Honestly, just thinking about it kind of aggravates me and makes me kind of depressed and frustrated, and there's just no point to it, because then I wouldn't be able to do my normal job properly, and carry over into how I treat my customers, and it would then carry over into how I treat employees, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So now what we got to do is we have to find a new SSD connector, and by new I mean certified pre-owned from the Rossmann donor group pile. So I'm going to hang this off the desk like so. Add a lot of flux. And I'm going to heat from the bottom. Because keep in mind, even though this connector has metal, a lot of it is plastic. And we're going to heat this mofo until... We're going to heat this thing until it comes off. Hope it doesn't fall on my nuts, because if this falls on my nuts... Is Oreo coming to work tomorrow? Maybe. Bob says, I feel sad and empty, stuck in a dead-end job, won't be working for a finance firm until 2022. How can I... Some strange face, but... Why does Sheep Chat do this? It posts stupid faces instead of the actual words you type. I gotta get rid of this Sheep Chat shit app. Something on how I can feel happy again. Stuck in a dead-end job, won't be working for a finance firm until 2022. Are you miserable because you're gonna be working at a finance firm, or are you miserable because where you are right now? Because finance firm doesn't sound like the most fun job. I guess what you could do is, just find something... You gotta find something that gives you a sense of purpose. If that purpose isn't coming from work, it's gotta come from somewhere else. If it falls in your nuts, you'll be nutless. Good point. So I'm gonna move over here. Also, I'm gonna watch Time Warner drop the frames. Wow, we have 3,000 drop frames. Holy shit. What are your energy levels like on a daily basis? I have a lot of energy. That's the thing, I yawn a lot. If I'm sitting in one space for a long period of time, I do wind up yawning a lot, but I do have a lot of energy. A lot of restless energy. It's one of the reasons I don't sleep very often. Rob Brown says you can never have too many donors. Yes. Travis says, are you burying yourself in work because you are worried? I'm burying myself in work because if I don't, somebody else will, and I'll get knocked right off. One of the things that people don't realize is that broke people actually have a great advantage over people that have money in certain industries, and that their standards are often lower. Again, I know this is the type of thing that's going to get quote mined on Reddit and said, Lewis says that poor people have it better than rich people. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you have, your standard is like $4,000 or $6,000 home and nice car and all your employees are paid well and you got a nice location, and somebody else has, a $400 room in a house that's full of termites and no employees, That person can undercut you. That person has lower profit margins they need to live, which means they can afford to do services that you can't afford to do or that you think are not worth it, and they can eat your lunch. At the end of the day, I realize I'm very thankful for the fact that I have a business that does what it does, and I'm very thankful that I'm able to make money at this, since I haven't been able to make money at many other things in life. So I think I work in service to the opportunity that I'm grateful to have been given. Because I realize, like, the moment that I start to become complacent, that's the moment somebody else is coming by and just eating my lunch. And the place that's going to eat my lunch is probably not going to be a great place. It's going to be one of those shithole franchises that the insurance companies have been buying up recently. The insurance companies are buying the you break, I fixes, and the CPRs and all that, and it's just like, nah, you ain't eating my lunch. This is my town. Ain't nobody providing a better turnaround time or deal for my customers in my area than me. That's pretty clean. You can see the plastic melted in a few places. I don't think I'm going to get better than that. But I'm still going to try one more just to see if I can make it a little cleaner. I don't think it's going to get much cleaner. When are you moving to the new place? When the old place, when the new place is done, really. Yeah, that came off much smoother. Much smoother. No burn plastic. Alright, so I got lazy with the other one. Not lazy, I got impatient with the other one. That was wrong. Okay, I'm going to put this in the ultrasonic for a moment. Yeah, the other one came out much more burn looking. Can you see that? Yeah, see, on the other connector, I burned this piece. On this one, it's much nicer. This looks like a 2011 MacBook Pro that Apple refurbished, where they burn the shit out of it, because the people doing their BGA reworks suck. The fuck is this? What are you doing there? And I gotta hot air that some. Damn it. Hot air, and then I stick the wick in. Let's hot air it and then stick my wick in. It won't go through. Fucking really? Just let gravity let the knife through. And as it's drying, I twist it so that the solder, whatever solder is there, is not going to dry properly, which is what I want. Yeah, that's nice. That's a disgusting solder joint. Exactly what I'm looking for. A broken, beaten, destroyed solder joint. The wick doesn't want to go through. It doesn't want to go in the hole. Come on, wick, go in the hole. Fuck the MacBook. Literally. I need you to fuck this MacBook. Don't be afraid. Fuck that MacBook right in its hole. There we go. That MacBook got fucked in its hole. Fucked by a wick. That is. Alright, that MacBook got fucked in its hole. Now, it's ready. It's ready. So I'm going to push really hard on this SSD connector to make sure it stays in there. We're going to fill those holes. Stay, fucker. Now you want the connector to be flat on the board. That's really important. Because all the other pins are going to be miserable to solder if it's not really, really flat on the board. And the way you get it flat on the board is when I'm soldering the anchor pins, I'm pushing. The solder is this is gonna be really hard because this shield is covering the entire top. I'm adding flux. I'm holding down with one hand and I'm applying the solder with the tip with the soldering with the iron with the other. Now, usually you're supposed to add solder. You're not supposed to put solder on your iron and then touch it. But keep in mind, I do need to put a little bit of pressure on the board over here. And I can't do that and do this at the same time because I have 2 hands, not 3. So that's why I'm adding the flux. This way I'm not really breaking that rule that says as to why you shouldn't just take your solder and place it somewhere. Because the flux will become useless and it won't flow into place. All right, now that's really pushing hard in the board, and that's what we want. What I want is for this an ideal world would work even if the pins were in solder, just because of the amount of pressure that's pushing that thing onto the board. That's the ideal. That's what you're shooting for. Those pins should be making such harsh contact with the board right now that even if I didn't solder a single one, that SSD would get red and have a nice 1 gigabyte per second read. Gigabyte per second read and write. That's obviously not going to happen, though. Now, the reason I'm turning the iron is because if I do this, more of the hot part, I get more iron area touching the pad and the pin. And that's what I want. Because many people who are new are going to say, the iron's not hot enough, it's not melting. It's not that it's not hot enough, it's that it's not hot enough for a long enough, enough. It's not hot over a large enough area. You bastard little short. Get back here. All right. God damn it. The wire made its way in there. You see how hard it is to melt that piece of solder? That's at 840 degrees. So this area the board has a very high thermal mass, meaning it's just taking the heat that I'm putting here and just kind of laughing at me. Also, the way I get rid of shorts is I keep cleaning my iron. If I keep cleaning my iron and then putting it there, the solder is going to get attracted to what's hot, which is going to be the iron, not the board. And go through each pin individually. I don't want to see clumps of solder back there where it hasn't gotten hot. That's why I'm reheating even when you see the solder joint looks good enough. I don't want cold solder hiding back there. Obviously, power pins and ground pins are going to be much harder to solder than data pins. I want to see the solder go all the way to the back of the pin, not just rest in the front and the rest of it be cold. This part is really hard though, because look at how little clearance you have back here. What's with you unjustly blaming my software for your incompetence, says Paul Daniels. What's with you thinking that the fucked up way that you orient your toilet water and everything else in your flat section of the world is the way boards should be oriented in your software? Why would you have the board orient itself vertically? Are you out of your mind? You don't put boards in a desk vertically. That's insane. That's inefficient. You have a horizontal desk, yet a vertical board view. Luckily, we have Rob Brown in the chat. He's the man that fixes Paul Daniels' bugs. When something in Flex Board View works, I thank Rob Brown. When something in Flex Board View breaks, I curse Paul Daniels. Now I know why you have all those PayPal claims, Paul. Your website makes it clear to me that the software once paid for is going to come with all schematics and board views. Very misleading, my friend. Not as described. This is a replacement for TP-Link, which came out in 1995. And since this is a replacement for Windows 3.1 software, I assumed it would work in Windows 3.1. So since it doesn't, I'm filing a PayPal claim. I feel bad for Paul Daniels having to deal with PayPal claims for software. That's just so fucked. People actually file PayPal claims for software. Like, okay, how the hell am I supposed to solder the pins where this capacitor is? Seriously? That's not gonna fit. How the hell am I supposed to get my iron in there? Paul Daniels wins all his claims. Okay, now, I think I'm going to have to remove this cap, but I really don't want to. Let's see, is it going to be easy to remove this cap or a pain in the ass? Oh, this may actually be simple. I'm just going to bend you up for the time being. Yeah, you got to go. Sorry, little tantalum. You gotta go. You fucking gotta go. You're in the way. Okay. Tantalum's out of the way. Shoot. Now that's not fully soldered. I just don't want to short them together. Ah, crap. Never mind. I wound up doing it anyway. I shorted the pins together. I'm pushing down on the board so the pads are soldered as well as the pins. Now I gotta clean my iron off each time to get rid of this short. Okay, remove the solder over here. Vertical thing is a case of a feature in the non-butterfly view versions, creating interesting side effects in the butterfly view versions. Butterfly view? Oh, no. Usually when I rotate the Q-tip like that, it doesn't leave fibers behind. There must have been something really sticky over there. It's to leave fibers behind. I'm using hot air when I can just solder that on there. All that work not to ruin the plastic of the connector, and I'm doing it. That's stupid. still gonna have to hide that into place. Alright, OCD done. Maybe a little bit more OCD. They will all lose their data at some point, hi. Hi, I didn't stop getting his degree. Hi loves college. Almost as much as he loves homework and studying. It sounds like Hi is the type of parents and family that are going to murder him if he doesn't get A+ in every course and get his master's degree, at least. That's my impression. Poor bastard. Alright, now let's see what the SSD filter is. Welcome everybody to the Paul Daniels software. The L3700 is a filter. Let's see if that filter is blown. It should be, since this thing almost blew up. I bet the filter is fine because this is a Mac. Smoking while you turn on the SSD is probably permitted. Let's turn on the Paul Daniels multimeter software. 0.4 fucking ohms. You can literally destroy the SSD on the MacBook. And, I mean, I don't... How do you... Like, what the fuck is the point of having a filter in place of the SSD if this is what it's rated for? Like, seriously. Well, look at this. Look at that shit. This smoked in front of you as it was turned on. There's no excuse for this. This is disgusting. There's no point in having a filter there. Why bother? Fucking Mac, man. I swear. Fucking Apple. Okay, if I plug this in, is that shorted to ground? Let's see, is the SSD filter output shorted to ground? $73 kiloohms. Not shorted. Not shorted. Not shorted. Not shorted. Okay, let's see on the SSD what's going on. Okay, so the first 5 pins on there are SSD power. Then there's ground and just normal PP3V3SL. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so no, ground? This is actually supposed to be ground. Let's see if that's the case. Okay, it is. And this is supposed to be PP3V3SO over here. But I can't find where the hell PP3V3SO would actually go to the SSD from there. It doesn't look like PP3V3SO goes to any pin of the SSD besides this one. Let's see if there's something under this. Oh, so let's scrape the corrosion. Wow, this X-Acto is working really well. Look at that. The Q-tip did nothing for the corrosion, but the knife just... I'm impressed with this little X-Acto knife. Alright. Let's see if we can get this person's data back. I think the liquid over here shorted PP3V3SO or to ground, and that's what caused the outbreak. Okay. Right, so that's going to be ground. That's supposed. What is PP3V3SO over? Is that 3.3 volts anymore? Or no, that's straight up ground. Shit. Yeah, there's no 3.3 volts there. So there's 3.3 volts to power the SSD, but then for some reason normal PP3V3SO is going to the SSD over here. And I'm not quite sure where that would go on the motherboard. I'd need a known good SSD to test that. So it looks like where PP3V3SO is supposed to go is directly shorted to ground. So I'm probably going to cover this, and I got to figure out on a good SSD where that goes. So let me see if I can find a good working SSD. Also, what's really strange here is this is a 2015-16 SSD inside a 2013-14 model. You'll see that JTAG over there? That's 2013-14 model. This is an 820-3437 board like it says over there. But this SSD has a little gold ring, and that gold ring is only on the 2015-16, which means somebody at some point in time fucked with this and replaced the SSD. So this would be what caused our problems, that PP3V3SO on the SSD shorted to ground. Now I'm kind of curious if the customer has any data on this that is required. I'm also curious if I could green over that and wire to where PP3V3SO would be on the board. So let's see if we have any open SSDs lying around that I can do a little bit of tracing on. If that has data on it and I can actually recover it, this would be pretty sweet. This would probably make this person's world. Most likely, they're fucked anywhere else they go in the city. RIP data. So it's the 7th pin. So what I need to do is figure out where that goes on the board. Because we don't have a schematic for this. God forbid we have a schematic for anything. God forbid we don't fucking guess to do our job. Yeah, we can't have that. Okay, so where does this go on the board? Let's turn the meter to beep mode. Meter, make a nice beepy beepy beep noise. Okay, so this and this are... so this PP3V3SO is separate from the rest of the board. Any of these ICs powered by it? Is there any cap on this board that has... those caps are probably all data caps, so I should just ignore that shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, it's pin 7. I don't hear any beeping. Yeah, this SSD has a little corrosion on it. Over there. Yeah, see this in the corner? This shit's corroded. So this may not even be a working one. But it's good enough for this. I want to see where PP3V3SO shows up, if anywhere. There's a chance that PP3V3SO is not even used on the SSD, because you already have PP3V3SO SSD. I'm not sure why they would want another 3-volt rail. It better not be on the other side of the board, because measuring that's going to be a clusterfuck. And again, the other side's all underfilled anyway. I don't think that's actually used for anything. Yeah, I have a feeling that's not actually used. So I'm going to green that over and plug this in. There's enough grounds here, so I don't think I have to reconnect that ground pin, because there's a bunch of grounds on this SSD. So we're just going to green that. Okay, so we do that. Let's just remove it from the side pin that doesn't need to have the green stuff. You don't need green stuff. And that pin doesn't need green stuff. This one, these two do. So that ground is canceled. We don't need that ground anymore. I'm canceling that ground. You're canceled. That's what the kids say nowadays. Okay. Now for greeny pen. Now don't look at the screen, because UV light is bad for you. Do not look at the screen. Do not look at the screen. This pen is the green stuff is going to cure. It's heat resistant as well. So once this cures, it is not going to be conductive anymore. That ground over there is not going to be conductive. Do not look at the screen, folks. UV light is not good for you. Okay. Now let's see. First thing I want to do, see if the connector on the board blows up when I turn this thing on. So can I turn the board on without the connector blowing up is going to be the first thing I'm interested in. Then I'm going to plug that SSD in. So the board takes 600 milliamps, which is normal, and no fire. Now, next up, let's plug this in and see if it fires my connector. Now I'm going to check the two rails that are the PP3v3SO and PP3v3SO SWLCD and make sure that neither of those are shorted to ground with the SSD plugged in before I go for it. So that, let's see, where can I measure that in the top of the board? PP3v3SO, you can measure it on a cap under the fan. We're just measuring resistance. Want to make sure this is not still shorted. PP3v3SO, nothing. And PP3v3SO SSD, not shorted. Alright, next up, let's see if we get a fan spin without smoke. Fan is spinning, SSD is not smoking anymore. Alright, next up, let's see if this gives an image on screen. This is an 3437, so it's going to turn on, off, on, off, on, off, on. It's just the battery's been unplugged once. You should put a working SSD in first. Yeah, but I gotta find one. I gotta find one that belongs to me, because then holy shit! Ha ha! Look at that! Look at that thing boot! Guess who's got their data back? Oh! That SSD went on fire! You saw that! That shit smoked right in front of me. Alright, now boot. Boot, you fuck. Boot, you fuck. I didn't plug in the battery of the trackpad, so it's going to be throttling itself down and running really slow. Boot, you fuckface. Boot! What if some of the sectors are corrupt? Bro, your SSD went on fire in front of me. Fuck off. If you have 90% of your data, be happy. It's not slow NVMe. It's not that. What's making it slow is that I don't have the battery or the trackpad plugged in, so it's going to throttle itself down. And it's proven now you can set an Apple product on fire and it still works after Lewis. Yeah, thank you. Macs aren't that slow booting to begin with. It's actually usually faster than Windows for me. OS X boots faster than Windows in many cases for me. Even on my machine, I have an NVMe SSD, a Ryzen, 32 gigs of RAM, virtually no startup items, and OS X on a fucking 5-year-old A1502 will often beat food faster than Windows 10 for me. I give credit where credit is due. OS X boots really snappily. Thank you, Catherine. Here we go. Bada bing. Somebody's got data. See that, folks? Data. Bam. This computer was so corroded that the solid-state drive went on fire in front of me. It just smoked. Okay, the SSD didn't go on fire. This machine was so corroded that the SSD was smoking in front of me. You could smell it. It was disgusting. And now it works. Bam. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. This machine needs a bunch more shit. Ultrasonic cleaning. We have to figure out if it was a trackpad cable, or keyboard that was the reason that it's not working. But, man. MacBook tries to set the SSD on fire. Nope, not on my watch. I really do wonder, what the hell is that SSD filter for? No, seriously. What is that SSD filter for? If it doesn't blow when the SSD is smoking. Because you saw, I measured it. 0 ohms. 0 ohms on the SSD filter. and the shit was smoking. I don't get it. I really don't get it.